All right, we are learning Yoma, Daf Mem Gimel Amid Aleph. Top of the page, we are discussing the Parah Adumah, the Parsha, the Parah Adumah. How Ula made a comment that Mashma is Moitzi Miyad Mashma and Mashma Me, which means there are some psukim that the Torah uses a lot. You could use pronouns and you could write a noun. So when we're talking about a Lazar, the Kohen, an Ish, if I you really wouldn't have to repeat any of those if we're talking about a Kohen, and we already mentioned the Kohen, so you wouldn't have to repeat that we're talking about a Kohen or a Lazar for that matter. So if you are repeating it, then there's got to be a reason for it, and then that's going to be moitzi. Whatever that's going to be telling us is being moitzi midei mashma. It's going to be telling us that what we thought before, what was going on before, well, now that's not what's going on now. Things are changing. Mashma mela means that the Torah just wrote a pronoun, and therefore we could just continue assuming what we've assumed until now. So we are on the top of Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. Here we go. V'shachat oisa, and he shachts it. Okay, Shalai yishchat acheres ima. You can't shecht another Parah Adumah at the same time. You can't do two Parah Adumas at the same time. You can only do one. Okay. Lifanov, the Shachar Isa Lifanov, in front of him. So we had this drasha before. So according to the Rav, this is telling me if Elazar is the one doing the shchita, so Shalai Asiyach Daitim Yimena, he should not be Misiach Das. He's got to be focused on the Parah Adumah. L'Shmuel, he learns from this pasuk that v'shachad oisa lifanov. That means the shechita is being done in front of Elazar. Elazar is not doing the shechita. So Shmuel learns she'ezar shechet, that Ezar is allowed to be shechet, and he does that in front of Elazar. Elazar, right? Okay. Now the pasuk continues and says v'lokach Elazar hakohen midamav etzba'ai. So he takes, first of all, he's mekabel adam. He does kabbalas adam. And then he takes them and he's going to sprinkle it towards the base of Mikdash. Now, our issue here is 1 second. Why is it telling us that Elazar is taking it? Well, Lishmuel, according to Shmuel, well, until the Shachat was not Elazar, that was Azarah. So Lahadrure Elazar, it's telling you that no, now Elazar takes over. So Elazar's got to do the Kabbalah Saddam. Rav, according to Rav, Elazar was always doing the Shechita. So why does it have to tell me Elazar again? Have a miyut achar miyut. So there's a miyut. It says v'shachar Isa, which is talking about Elazar, and now it says again v'lakach Elazar. So that's a miyut achar miyut. The Torah is telling you something specific, and then telling you again the same thing that's specific. And the rule is miyut achar miyut is a miyut achar miyut el rabbis. That's coming to include something. That if you look kohen hedget, that a kohen hedget can do the Kabbalah. So again, according to Shmuel, a zar can do the shechita. Elazar has to do the Kabbalah, and according to Rav, Elazar has to do the Shechita, but a regular Kohen can do the Kabbalah. We continue. So it says that a Kohen needs to do this. Now, 1 second. Why do you have to tell me Dafka a Kohen? Well, according to Shmuel, well, until now it was Elazar doing it. So Shmuel, the Afiluk B'Kohen Hedget. This of taking the Eitz Erez, the Ezer to last and throwing it into the fire, that could even be done by a Kohen Hedget. But Rav, who already told us that a Kohen Hedget can do the Kabbalah, and that's who we're dealing with. So why do you have to continue to? Why do you have to tell me again a Kohen? Rav, you need to say Dafka Kohen here. Since we're not dealing with the actual Parah, so then maybe things change. So therefore, maybe I could have even a zar do this. So by kain, maybe I don't even need a kain. Kamashimon is the Torah needs this. Even though I know I was talking about a kain until now, but if it wouldn't have said kain, I would have thought a zar can do it. Okay. Bechibes begodav hakoyin. The koyin washes his clothes. Well, we're talking about the koyin according to everybody. So who else would it be? So the Gemara says, we dash in the pasuk like this, v'chibes begodav hakoyin, bibikihunai. The koyin has to be wearing his begodim when he does the Parah Adumah. Whoever is being involved in the Parah Adumah, whichever Kohen is involved in the Parah Adumah, needs to be wearing his big day kahuna. Says the Gemara, we continue. V'tomei hakoyin ad ha'orev. The Kohen is tummy until the evening. Well, what do you got to tell me that? We're obviously talking about a Kohen. So the Gemara says, b'kihunai l'deiris. This is telling us that not only does a lazar, the original Parah Adumah, need to be done big day kahuna, but l'deiris it also needs to be done big day kahuna. According to the one who says that l'deiris, that means it's in the future. It doesn't have to be done by the skan. It can be done by the Kohen Gadol alei. It can be done by any Kohen. So then I understand why you have to tell me l'deiris. It's big kihuna. Elamanda Amar l'deiris b'Kohen Gadol. Well, if you're telling me l'deiris is a Kohen Gadol, that's the other mandamar that a Kohen Gadol has to do the Parah Adumah. So then hashta Kohen Gadol be'inon b'kihuna mibai. Well, if I need a Kohen Gadol, then I'm for sure need him to be in his begadim. Says the Gemara in Musadas b'Kavachemer Tarach v'Kosav Lakra. So Torah needs to tell you, even though you can learn something from a Kavachemer, the Torah will write something which you could learn from a Kavachemer. Okay, let's continue in the Psukim. V'asav ish tahor es efer haparah. Now we're moving on to collecting the ashes. V'asav ish tahor. And ish tahor gathers the efer haparah. V'hiniach, and he places it down. Ish lahachshir as ish. The entire tells us ish. Well, ish doesn't sound like a kohen because it's not. Ish is lahachshir es Azarah. And tahor, well, obviously he's tahor, so that's lahachshir es ha'isha. That's coming to tell you that even a woman can do this. V'hiniach, and he places it, so that tells you mishesh by das lahaniach. Someone who has das, who knows how to secure. He can do this. They may not do that. Okay, so that is the halacha of asifa. Siva sapara can be done by a zar, a woman, but not a chir shayte v'katan. So the Gemara Tanan Hasuk learned in the Mishnah, Hakol Kasher and lekadish. What's lekadish mean? So Rashi says to pour losis mayim al ha'efer b'klicheres. To pour the water, which is from mayim chaim, from a spring, you pour that onto the efer, the ash, which is in a klicheres. So Rashi learned that's what lekadish means. Lekadish means to pour. But what are you doing? You first, it sounds like Rashi, you put ash in the cup, and then you put water onto that kli. Tesis says, second tesis, Hakol Kasher and Lakadesh, Pirush Rashi, Hamayim al ha'efer, pouring water onto the ash. In many places, mashma, sheyunaistin ha'efer al hamayim. You first put water in the kli, and then you added the efer. So it says, okay. We got a pasuk. It says, "V'lakchu l'tamei me'efer sreifa sachatas v'nasan alav mayim chayim el kali demat mayim al efer." It sounds like they took for the tamei from the efer sreifa sachatas, and they put v'nasan alav mayim. They put water on it, al kali, into the kli. So that's shver. Says you get to read the pasuk a little bit differently. Yesh lefarish v'nasan alav doesn't mean on it, but rather bishvile, for its sake. Yitin mayim chaim al kali. The Adumah, Taisa says, if you read the pasuk again, it's mashma shahamayim noigin bekli v'ha'efer neisin aleim milamala. It says v'nasan alav mayim chaim al kali. So it sounds like the mayim chaim has to go directly into the kli, and then you're going to put the efer on top of it. Machlikis Rashi and Tosis. Okay, let's back to the Mishnah. Tanan Hasa, we learned in a Mishnah over there. So everyone can do this, can pour the water to mix the water with the ashes, except for a Cher Shel Tevakot. Have you the Makshir B'Katan? Rabbi Yehuda says, you know what? A katan can do it. Upaisel be'isha v'androgynous, but an isha and an androgynous cannot. Well, my time in the Rabbanan. What's tried in the Rabbanan? Well, let's look at the pasuk. The chsiv v'lakhu latame me'efer sreifas achatas. They'll take for the tummy from the efer sreifas achatas. Hanoch the pasli l'cha ba'asifa pasli l'cha b'kiddush. Meaning, you're right. There's a break in psukim, but let's just continue off from where we left. We left off with va'asaf ishtar, and then it says v'lakhu. So I'm imagining whoever was gathering it is going to be allowed to take it, and whoever is puzzled from gathering it is puzzled from taking, because it doesn't. It's mashma mamela. It just keeps the puzzle continues. So v'lachu tam ever zaparach hanach the puzzle chaba asifa, which was the chesed v'katan puzzle chaba kiddush. Vanach the actual chaba asifa, which was the zar and the isha, actually the kiddush. That's very geschmack. The Rebbe Yehuda. What do you do with that? Rebbe Yehuda is saying, no, a woman is puzzle and a katan is kasher. Imkain, if it's true that we're just continuing from where we left off, then imkain le'makrav lakach. Why is the Torah switching to a plural? The whole parsha, except in the beginning, it says v'yikchu li Parah Adumah, and then the rest of the parsha is in singular. So, except for this pasuk, it says v'lakhu. So why are we going back plural? So my v'lakhu. So it's coming to say somebody else is taking it. Dafilu katan. The pasul chahazam hacha kasher. Even a katan who is pasul in the asifa is kasher in the nesina samayim. Isha menale. So why are you pasling in isha? Because it says v'nasan amayim Allah amayim chaim al kali. So v'nasan is masculine. V'lay nasna doesn't say v'nasna, and she puts it. Okay. The Rabbanan. Oh, before we get to the Rabbanan, 1 second over here. Is that a fair drasha? V'nasan doesn't say v'nasna. When does it ever talk in the feminine? Practices. Avagav the kol halteira kula b'lashon zachar. The whole Torah is written in lashon zachar. So what kind of drasha is that? We don't know. We're not mamayed a woman because the Torah is written in lashon zachar. Unless it says a man. Starka kasha. Yesh lemer and for Tosis the shani hacha with the shani krab b'dibure. Once the Torah is already changing the way its word usage, and it's saying v'lachu lashon rabim v'adar ksiv v'nasan lachidashinan v'loy v'nasna. Okay. Once the Torah changed already in the beginning of the pasuk and said v'lachu, and it's not continuing being consistent, and now it's saying saying v'nasnu, and it's saying v'nasan. So I could be a medayik and not a woman. Okay. Rabbanan who don't learn, and they're saying the pasuk just is a continue. They don't learn dashin v'lachu or v'nasan. So they say like this: Ikas rachman v'lakach v'nasan. If the Torah would have written both in the singular, havamina ad shakal chad v'yav chad, I would say the same person who is doing the asifa needs to do the nisina. Because rachman v'lakhu, so it says v'lakhu. So that means more than one person can do it. Nikas rachman v'lakhu v'nasnu. If it said both plural, havamina ad shakli trev v'yav vitrei, I would say you need two people doing it. Because rachman v'lakhu v'nasan. Dafilu shakli trev v'yav chad. Okay, let's go weiter. V'lakach ezoiv. Now you take the. Now we're talking about the sprinkling, the hazah. V'lakach ezoiv. You take some hisav. V'tava b'mayim. You dip it into this mixture. Ishtar. And Ishtar does this. And why are we mentioning an Ishtar? So l'Rabbanan, it's very good, because until now it could be done by a zar and a woman, says the Gemara, and a katan for that matter. So the Torah says l'Rabbanan ish v'lo isha. Tahar is lahachshir es a katan, because a katan was puzzle before. So now a katan is kasher, and an ish is puzzle, an isha is puzzle. Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, who said before that a katan is kasher and an isha is puzzle already. So now, what am I going to learn from this? Well, ishtar, ish v'loy katan, ish meaning it's got to be bar mitzvah, not a katan, and tar is lahachshir as isha, that a woman could do hazah. Okay. Fact Gemara, Meisvei Akol Ksher and Lahazois, everyone is kosher to do the sprinkling onto a Tamei Meis, Chutz Mitumtum V'Androgenes V'Isha V'Kot V'Isha. Except for a Tumtum, Androgenes, and an Isha. V'Kot and Sheyesh by Das, Isha Misayate. Umaza. A woman can help him and he can do the Hazah. So everyone's kosher for Hazah except for Tumtum, Androgenes, and an Isha. So that sounds like the Rabbanan, not like Rabbi Yehuda. Now Rabbi Yehuda doesn't argue on this brisa. Why not? Rabbi Yehuda should argue. It says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, Kiva, the Amar Mar Mashma Moitzi Miyad Mashma Umashma Meilup. Since Ula already told us that that's where these psukim go, so therefore, obviously, obviously Rabbi Yehuda is going to darshan the way he darshans, and therefore if it says Ishtar, it's going to change from the Mashmayis. So therefore he doesn't have to argue on in the brisa. Okay, let's I guess we'll just do Mem Gimel 2 now. Okay, here we go. Says the Gemara Vayter, V'hiza hatar al hatame. Someone who's tahar sprinkles on the tummy. In fact, the Gemara tahar. If you're telling me that he's a tahar, so a tahar mechlal shutame. It sounds like that this tahar person, it sounds like he just became tahar, is going to be doing the sprinkling. Can do the sprinkling. Rashi says she yates mechlal tuma. It sounds like he was tar, but he's a tar. High tar yiseru is extra. We're talking about someone who's tar. So why is it telling me that he's tar? So it's telling me that we're talking about somebody who became tar. So it says the Gemara, Limed al Tvul Yaim, Shekasher Bepar. That's come to teach me that a Tvul Yaim, someone who was telling me I went to the mikveh that day. Normally, let's say to eat truma, you got to wait till the night. To eat kachim, he's not tar yet, but he's allowed to do the hazah onto the hazah of the Parah Dumashes, of the mechatas. Okay. Amar Basi. Okay. Says Rashi. What does this mean? So Kihavu Rashi top line, first skinny line. Kihavu medaktiki, when they were being medaktik, when they're learning up the parsha, lemaski mina kalemer lehoyu malin mitecha davar chiddush. Liyesichelen leachos b'shitasa lahashvos shemikroiseh kulam maitzim zeh miyad zeh kulam miskayim zeh acher zeh. They couldn't have the psukim flow. That it's a little choppy. I could say. Kama shemal hashual, when you have a shual, a fox, b'ragos b'shder salsadiner, when it tramples on a freshly plowed field. I don't know what the mashal is. I guess it doesn't work out so well. Nothing stays attached to his foot as he's running because it's freshly plowed. Okay. Says Gemara weiter. So again, Amar Basi ki havu ba Rabbi Yochanan v'Reish Lakish b'Parah leimaski mina ela k'b'mayt demasik tala mi bekarva ela amri mashma maitzim mashma mele. You have both. You have psukim that are mitzi from the pasuk that you said before, and you have psukim that read that flow straight. Tani Tana Kamed Rabbi Yochanan kol hashchitas ksheres bizar chutz mishal parah. There was a Tana who came in front of Rabbi Yochanan, and he taught the following: Kol hashchitas ksheres, all shchitas are kosher. Bizar, a zar could do any shchita except for the Parah Adumah. When Rabbi Yochanan heard this, Amalei Rabbi Yochanan puk tani labra. Go teach us outside. Not for me. I don't agree. Because Rabbi Yochanan holds Rabbi Yochanan le meiboila tana de leitzais. Elafilu rabbi leitzais. For sure, not to a student he wasn't going to listen to, but even his rabbi he doesn't listen to. Dam Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yetzadik. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yetzadik, Shchitas parah bizar pesula. Va'ani Yaimer, Rabbi Yochanan said about it, he said himself, Kashera, it is Kasher. Lemetzina Shchita Pshula Bizar. There is no Shchita that is puzzle bizarre. That is Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. So we go back to the Mishnah. The Kohen Gadol goes Balei Eitzel Parah Shnia. He goes back to his second. He goes back to his cow a second time. Mashakasav bevidoy rishon deloy Amar ubnei Aaron Maishna. What's the pshat that in the vidoy rishon he doesn't mention the bnei Aaron, his tribe, Am Kadeshacha, u'Maishna bevidoy sheni the Amar bnei Aaron Am Kadeshacha. What's the pshat? This is the way it makes sense. Mutav Yavei Zakei. It's better for someone who is innocent should come via Chaper al Chayiv and try to atone for someone who is guilty. Va'al Yavei Chayiv via Chaper al Chayiv. You don't bring someone who is guilty to try to atone for someone who is also guilty. First, you do tshuva, you work on yourself, and then you help others. Right, as it go, first put your oxygen mask on yourself, and then you can help the person next to you. Okay, it's like the mission of Eiter. Okay, so we have like this. Let's just get to where we had the Kohen Gadol. First thing he did was to bring his par into the Azarah, and he does vidui on it. Then he does the garil on the Shnei Seirim Hashem and Lazazel. Then he goes back to his par and does a second vidui, including the Bnei Ahar. Now we're up to Shachatu V'Kibul. He shachts the par. V'Kibul Mizrak Ezdamei, and he would do the Kabbalah Hadam in a kli, a Mizrak. The nice Neilamishu Meimar is by Al Harevid Haravi Shebechel. He'd give it to someone who was standing in the fourth row of the Hechel, who would stir it. Kadesh La Yikresh, in order that it does not congeal. Okay. Because he's not ready to go in, he's going to take that blood and do a hazah in the Kodesh HaKodashim, on the Pareches, and then on the Mizbech Hazav. But he doesn't want it to congeal, so therefore someone stands there mixing it. Now he takes the shovel and he goes onto the top of the Mizbech. Upana gacholim, he moves away coals here and here. And he takes from those that have been, I guess, well charred or good coals that are on the inside. The Yered, he goes off the Mizbech, and he also puts that on the fourth row that's in the Azarah. Okay. Now, the Gemara Mishnah is going to deviate a little bit and tell us some differences between what happened on Yom Kippur and the rest of the year. A whole year he would shovel with silver, and he poured into a golden shovel. He would shovel with a golden kli, and that is what he would actually go into the Kodesh HaKodashim with. He would shovel up 4 kav of coals, and just keep 3. And I guess that's the size of the shovel, and that is what he would use to enter. He would use a saw, which is 6 kav, and pour it into a shovel that held 3 kav. He would use a shovel of 3 kav, and that's what he would go into the Beis HaMikdash, into Kodesh HaKodashim with. Every day. And every day, every day was heavy, today was lighter. Not sure what the kaveda and kal. I guess that's how thick the shovel was, how heavy it was. He would use a short handle, and on Yom Kippur it was a long one. This way it would be easier for him to balance. Every day it was a greenish or yellowish gold, or orangey gold. And today it was red. Divi Menachem. Paras. Every day he brought a pras, which is half in the morning and half at night in the evening. He would add a handful. And b'chol yom ha'yisadaka, it was fine. Hayim daka minadaka, today was very fine. B'chol yom kahana ma'ilam mizrachish l'kavesh uv'yardin b'machav. Every day you'd go up on the right. There was the mizrach, close to the mizrach, and you'd come down the mizbech on the ma'ariv side. But the hayim kan gadol elu be'emtza, he would go up in the middle, and hayiv yard be'emtza, and he'd go down to the middle. Every day the Kohen Gadol would do the middle. Every day the Kohen Gadol would do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim from the Kir, and today he would use a Kitan Shel Zav, that is for after the first one. Rabbi Yehuda Eimer lo ilum Kohen Gadol mekadeh yadav v'raglav min hakitin shel zav. Kohen Gadol would always use a kitin shel zav. Chayim hayisham arba ma'arachas v'yem chamesh. Every day there were 4 fires on the mizbeach, and on Yom Kippur there were 5. Divrei Meir Rebbe Yisrael b'chol yom sholish v'yem arba. Yehuda Eimer b'chol yom shtayim v'yem sholish. All right, we'll continue this at Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow.